And specifically in this video, I want to talk about why veganism isn't spreading as fast as other countries, like European countries or the States in Japan. If you're new here, my name is Taiki. I am a native Japanese speaker living in Europe. I'm sharing my honest opinions. So I've talked about this before, briefly, but vegan society, vegan group in Japan is very, very strange. Here's why. So vegans in Japan, they are, for some reason, most of them are anti-vax. Many of them are actually conspiracy theorists. Even if they're not conspiracy theorists, they tend to have like the anti-vax opinions. And I don't know why. I used to be like one of them. And I actually posted a video about being anti-vax in my vegan YouTube before. They also tend to focus on health too much. They're overly obsessed with health sometimes. There are some junky vegans like me who would just stay vegan as long as it's vegan. But like I feel like there are more people who are very health conscious. For example, if you meet vegans in Japan, they typically are like sober, which is good, healthy. But like for someone like me who likes to drink socially, every time I hang out with them, nobody drinks ever. Nobody drinks. So I'm like, that's kind of a boomer. The primary reason I believe is because, like I said, vegans can be very, very strange. If you watched, I will have a link here or card here to my video reacting to vegan showing up in web TV. She was like a PETA Asia member, and she talked about veganism in front of the web TV, online television, and she got roasted like very quickly because her arguments are like didn't make sense. Even if as a vegan, even as a vegan, I think she made a terrible mistake of not listening to the other people who are merely curious of what veganism was. Also, at the same time, I blame the TV program because she was the only vegan, and everyone else was like 5 people, 6 people. They were all non-vegan who were attacking her. So that was, I saw the ill intention behind how she was attacked. But because of that, I think reputation of vegans went down to the ground. I mean, there was a positive aspect that many more people learned the word the vegan. But I think there were more downsides because the TV program went viral. People were commenting on how irrational she was, which she was, because of how she talks to the guests in during the interview. The primary reason is because vegans can be very strange in Japan, and not everyone, but it's how they approach non-vegans can sometimes be weird as well. And Japanese people don't like different people. It's a psychological thing that people prefer something that they understand, you know? Because otherwise, let's say cavemen. When we're cavemen, which we still are neurologically, if we see something different, if we see someone different, we automatically see them as threats, right? So that's why when Perry, the first American to come to Japan, he was the first white to come to Japan. And Japanese people were like so horrified of how his face looked different. And people were so defensive. But gradually, after like some communication with Perry and the other settlers from abroad, Japan became more accepting of foreign people. In Japan, it's very predominant still. So that's why like people judge you by your appearance. If you have like very dark skin, then people just don't accept you as a Japanese person just because you don't look like Japanese. Even if you speak like fluent Japanese, even if you're born in Japan, even if your citizen says Japanese, some people don't even accept you as a Japanese person. So that's how homogeneous Japan is. Another reason I can think of is Japan isn't animal friendly. They still sell lots of dogs and cats at the pet shop, and people buy them instead of adopting from rescue shelters. That's what a lot of people do, unfortunately. People don't care about animals. Some people don't even care if I tell them that dog meat isn't part of some beef that you consume. Some people are like, well, like, what if you eat dogs? It's not a problem. And it's not like Europe. It's not like America, where almost every household owns a pet. Japan is not like that. My parents didn't own a pet. I didn't grow up with pets. I didn't grow up with animals. Neither did my sister. Neither did my grandparents. So I was scared of dogs initially, until I went to Canada and met a wonderful boy where I stayed in a host family. So unless you have that experience as a Japanese person, it is very hard to associate your diet with animals, because even if you associate with diet and animals, you might not have compassion for the animals. So it's simple. People don't really care about animals. People don't care about conserving. People go to the zoo, which is so small. It's much, much smaller compared to other countries. If you look at like YouTube comments on zoo, I think it was like polar bear shown in under the sun, blazing hot sun during summer, like 35 degrees Celsius. The polar bear was out. And I think one of the comments, or like many of the comments, say like, oh, that's actually fate that the polar bear had to endure or something, which is crazy. Some of them even say like, maybe because you haven't been the polar bear, you have no idea what he's been through. Maybe he's enjoying them. I was so shocked by that comment, because that's so irrational. I mean, if you see a polar bear literally dying in a blazing sun, you would think he's dying. But like one of the comments said, well, maybe he might not be dying. He might actually be enjoying. It's like, how dare you say something like this? The most important reason that I don't see many people talking about the Japanese people is the passive aggressiveness. That I talked about this before when I talked about, I think, how dating a non-Japanese man is a bad idea, probably. I talked about that probably. But like passive aggressiveness is like when you see someone dying on the street, you don't really help them because you don't want to get involved with whatever he's going through. You know, it's like if you call an ambulance, if you take some action, you might have your time used by other things. You might have your time consumed because of that incident. So many people don't help the dying man on the street, unfortunately. Very few. And they're always afraid of making themselves look dumb in public or something. They want to look cool all the time. They want to look calm all the time in presence of others. So if you just kneel down to the man and help him, you would stand out. You will look different, which comes down to reason number one that I talked about so far. Seeing different people as threats. So being different, lots of people in Japan think, is becoming a threat, which will leave them in isolation, which will leave them friendless, which will leave them with a bad reputation sometimes, which isn't true. Anyway, so why is this passive aggressiveness a huge thing when I talk about veganism in Japan? It is because even if you tell people, if you explain what vegans are going, what animals are going through, they would understand, they would be able to connect the dots most of the time, but like they would say, well, because natural selection, life cycle of life, I'm sure if you're vegan, you've heard that excuse before, but like it's they make the same excuse. For example, like, I don't know, lions kill gazelles or something. Yes, they do. Like survival of the fittest or something. Yes, they do. But like more people go vegan abroad, at least in States or Europe. They make the same excuse sometimes, but like more people exist who go vegan than Japan. If you go, I've been to an activism like many times in Japan. Like it's very very few. Like I don't think I've ever turned anyone vegan actually during the activism. I don't think they ever said I will go vegan. They would just I've talked to like hundreds of people on the street when doing the activism, but like very few. Zero. I think I would say zero. 0% actually said they would go vegan, which is very very no actually. But she wasn't Japanese. She was Indonesian. She sold a pig beaten to death, and she was like, I'm gonna stop eating pork. And she was Indonesian. She wasn't even Japanese. And coming back to the previous reason I talked about, this is passive aggressiveness. People don't want to stop at something that will make them stand out. Less in Osaka. More people stop in Osaka, but like Tokyo, like good luck with that. Good luck with expecting people to stop at the footage. And even if it's in Osaka, because where I was based was Osaka, that's where I did the activism. That's where I talked to the Indonesian girl, right? Very few people said they would go vegan. 0. Which isn't probably the case in Europe or the States. Because otherwise, if they did, there would be more vegan options. Definitely. There would be more vegans in Japan, definitely. But that's not the case. So in conclusion, first, people are scared of being different. People see people who are different as threats. Second reason, people don't care about animals in Japan as much as people do in Europe or the States. Third, passive aggression. People have passive aggression. They would rather just stay the same, even if it means aggressive, even if it means harmful to the animals. They choose to stay the same. Means that's becoming passive aggression. They would rather see a man die on the street than just go through the trouble of calling the ambulance or just kneeling down to perform some AED, first aid. So that's my theory why it's hard to see many vegans in Japan. Anyway, thank you so much for watching to the end. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't, if you want to watch more videos like this. And I'll see you in the next one. Until next time.